Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alejandro Franco, and today I'm going to give you a short summary about this interesting and horror story, The Whistle. It is a short story wrote by British writer Mr. James. So, first of all, I have some important questions about this story. The first one is about, does the story have a theme? I think that is a kind of dramatic story. The second one is about what is the story about. Okay, the story is talking about a professor. He is Parkins. He is the protagonist in this story. I think it is he writes on the town of Burnstow. It is the town, and the southwest coast of England. So while he was investigating and wind, he finds a whistle with two latent transcriptions in this whistle. So and on the other side, there is like the traduction to English, who is coming, I think so. And so Parkins blows the whistle, but he comes back to the hotel where he's staying. So he suddenly he realized that someone is running by him, and so he was very afraid in that moment. He was walking on the bridge, but he at last reached the hotel, and he rests. And okay, and then I think that the next date that was talking about, he encounters a boy who was terrified by a whale. That boy figure or watched a strange figure which happened in the window of Parkins' room. So he noticed that the rooms is an unusual room because he was entered in that, and he realized that the empty bed was disordered. What else? That night, he sees someone get up from the empty bed. That strange figure made up of the bedclothes, and suddenly attacks our professor, but he was saved by his friend Colonel Wilson. I think that is the short story about that. And the next question is about what is the central idea. Okay, I think that the main point in this case, the writer Mr. James was the proposed to tell a horror story for the children, maybe, I think so. The next question is about if this story was implicit or explicit. Well, I think that's implicit, and I think so that the whistle means that is an implicit message for us. In what moment? I think that in a moment where the Latin transcription, when the professor translates to the English, that message, who is coming, who is that he is coming, I think that there is an implicit message that someone is coming. I think that is the message, or the implicit message. The next question is about who is the protagonist of this story. as I told you before, he's a professor, and in the book he was talking with Colonel Wilson, his friend, and the professor introduced to the colonel who is an archaeologist. He's archaeologist, so I think that his age, I think 40 or 45 years old. Family background, I think that is an important, or he's from an important family because he is social class. I think that he was an study person and a status and occupation as well. I think I told you before, archaeologist, his occupation focus on looking for ruins and old buildings and pyramids and so forth. I think that's it. Okay, the next question: what is the problem presented in the story? Well, I think that first of all, in the story was talking about our professor was looking for in ruins. I think near to the beach, he found a circle of stones, and he stood where on a stone, and that stone broke, and there was a hole and our Parkins professor found into the hole a whistle, and the professor realized that the climate was strange, like that was suddenly dark and suddenly began to blow up in the environment. And when he come back to the hotel, he realized there was a black figure that was running by him. So he was afraid in that situation. He ran to the hotel, and that's the problem presented in the story, the first aspect to present this story. And finally, how was the problem solved at the end? So I think that the Colonel Wilson and our Professor Parkins in front of the beach, and the Colonel Wilson took the whistle and threw into the sea. I think that the end to solve that horror situation. The next one is about at what point in this story is the tension highest. Well, I like this kind of horror story. I don't like, I dislike, in fact, I dislike this kind of horror story or horror movies as well. But in the structure of this book, of this story, is good for me because the tension, the drama, the dramatic climax at the end. You can solve all the situation while you are reading this story at the end. So I think that the tension highs. When the professor was scared with this horrible figure that frightened in that night, he tried to jump out into the window. So that was the last situation in this story. Next one is about does the story involve in a epiphany or moment of insight, revelation, or self-realization for the protagonist or for the reader? Okay, I think that epiphany was talking about Colonel Wilson as Parkins' friend, That person was talking one interesting sentence at the end of the story. Colonel said that if something or these things like the Perkins was living in that hotel, it happens in the India. Colin told about that India happens something like that. The colonel advised his friend about that kind of situations, just frightened or just getting in a scare situation, but that gas or that kind of figure that could scare you don't will not affect you or hurt you in your body and your health. So I think that is a good point of epiphany. Doesn't matter if there is an terrible or horror situation. If we have in a horror situation, you have to have valor because it doesn't hurt you. So I think that's the moment present. At the end of the story, the colonel said that advice for your friend, for his friend. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching.